my 3 yarns because I've got the mohair held double and then the whatever this is called. Hey everyone, it's Natalie, also known as Knitty Natty. Welcome to episode 136 of the Love in Stitches podcast. Today is Monday, April 11th. I don't know the date. I think it's the 11th. Wait, what is the date? Yes, it is April 11th. It is a beautiful sunny day here in New York City, which is great because we had a lot of rain this weekend and I'm pretty sure we have rain coming up tomorrow. However, it is getting warmer here. I think it's going to be in the 60s today, so I am looking forward to toaster's getting settled down. I'm looking forward to later on today when I'm going to be walking to my Pilates class and walking to run some errands because it's actually nice outside. It's so strange because I've never lived in a place that is cold for an extended period of time. New York City is not like extremely cold, but it does stay cold for most of the winter, much colder than Texas where I moved from. And I did not realize how much of a relief it would be to not put on like a winter coat and just have to put on a hoodie. It's like the best feeling ever. Like it was a great feeling going from not having to wear boots anymore because the roads weren't getting, or sidewalks weren't getting salted and, you know, snowy and gross. And I was like, oh, I can just wear tennis shoes again. This is amazing. And then going from like not having to wear a winter jacket to just getting to wear a sweatshirt. It's a really good feeling. I didn't know I was missing out on that feeling. Anyway, I am wearing one of my merchandise shirts. We are no longer selling this collection. This is from the Definition collection, but you can get this style. It is the cropped knotted t-shirt. It fits true to size. This is a medium and it is a lovely color. You can get this same style, same color with the Love in Stitches logo. We just aren't doing the Definition collection any longer. So that's what I'm wearing today since it's nice and sunny and too warm to wear any knitwear in the apartment. All right, let's dive into some projects. Something I just realized with all my projects is that they are all in a float tote. Kind of funny, like not on purpose in the sense that I'm like, I want to show off my float tote pattern or I want all my projects to be in float totes. They just so happen to be my favorite project bag and like work really well for the different projects that I'm doing, but I'm kind of using them all in different ways. I just thought that was funny. Anyway, my first whip that I am working on, nothing finished. Yeah, I didn't finish anything this week. I feel like it's been a bit of a slow knitting week. I worked a lot last week and I worked on Saturday, so I feel like my knitting was not quite at the top of the priority the last week, which is understandable. It ebbs and flows. So sometimes there's a lot and sometimes there's a little, but I'm here to show what I have. So I have been continuing to work on my prismatic sweater. I did finally try it on with my try-on tubing. I had a little bit of trouble with the try-on tubing, I think because I'm using small needles, 2.5 needles. It's like, it was a little bit difficult, but it was definitely faster than transferring to a new needle or whatever. Oh, this is the Prismatic Sweater by Wool and Pine Designs. And my project page is linked down below for all my yarns, but this is Suburban Stitcher. The darker is Miss Babs. And then I do only have the label for the pink, which is Hooker's Corner. And that's just because I'm using all like stash yarns, leftovers, things that I threw away the labels for long ago. Oops. It's looking so pretty. So I tried it on and it does seem to be a tad bit big. I think I might have gone too far on the positive ease because I think I have like 7 inches of positive ease and it's recommended to have 0 to 6, but it's not so big that it's going to be like I'm not going to be able to wear it. I think that blocking is going to help too, because when I tried it on, the color work was kind of up high, but then when I pushed it down where I believe it's supposed to be, like this is supposed to fall over the shoulders, it looked a whole lot better. So I'm kind of thinking about maybe doing a blocking of it before I knit the sleeves, but after I've knit the body. I'm getting really close on the body. I think I did, it's my little gummy bear from Black Pearl Magic. I did about, I don't know, 3 or so inches this last week, most of which I did on Sunday when we went to the movies. I just didn't work on this a lot. I worked on it maybe in the mornings, but other than that, not a lot. But this is where I started the body. I like to put in a stitch marker when I split for the sleeves that's in the middle instead of having to measure from the actual underarm, because I feel like that can sometimes give me a less accurate measurement, but I'm also trying this on. So when I tried it on and I like pulled it down where I think it's gonna fall when it's blocked, I was really, really close to the needing to do the ribbing. I think the ribbing's like 2 inches long. So I might actually be making this a little shorter than recommended in the pattern just because of where it's hitting on me. I got my measuring tape out. I'm gonna measure it right now. This is not the best measurement, but yeah, because I've got like 9 inches right now. I think I might only go to 10 inches and then another 2 for the ribbing, making it a total of 12 inches, just because the yoke is falling really far down on my body. It's not gonna be cropped this way. It's just, I think, gonna fit nicely. But I need to try it on again with jeans and not my like joggers that come up really high and see how it's fitting. What else is special about this? I'm doing helical knitting, which means I'm alternating 2 yarns from the same, well, they're the same colorway, but I'm just alternating them so that I don't have any crazy jumps in color from this hand-dyed yarn. And I'm testing out a new cup for my float tote that's working really well for balled yarn. So this one's made for balled yarn instead of caked yarn, so that's working out really nicely. Other than that, I'm just cruising. I don't think I'm gonna do any pink here in the body, but I might add some pink on the sleeves because the pattern doesn't have you add anything else except for the yoked pattern part, but I kind of want something else. Like I want to use the pink yarn that I have. I think I took it out, but I want to use up the pink yarn that I have, but I don't think I'm going to do the patterning, maybe just some stripes. We shall see. But now that I'm getting so close on the body, I'm really determined to get it done. I also have debated doing short sleeves instead of long sleeves. I'm finding, I guess because it is warmer right now, that I really like wearing my short sleeve sweaters, and I like wearing them with a jacket so that when I get somewhere, I can take off the jacket and be comfortable. I just find that I'm really warm wearing a full sweater inside any time of the year. So I'm kind of considering maybe just making this a short sleeved top, and then in that case I probably won't add any pink onto it, but I'm kind of like, well, if I do that, then it'll be done soon. So we'll see. This is like TBD, things that I've just been spinning around in my head. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do yet, but stay tuned. It would be pretty cool if I could get that finished up because I have another sweater I really want to cast on and start once I get the yarn. I need to order the yarn. Okay, I also have put in a stripe on my big old granny stripe blanket. So my plan for this scrappy blanket is to add to it whenever I finish another project. So I showed last week a pair of socks that I finished from Fangirl Fibers. And so I added that in to the top. So just 2 rows makes a stripe, and then that's it. The yarn is done. I put it in another scrappy dimension, a drawer that I have with all the scraps, and there we go, that's done. There is a podcast where I show how to weave in ends on this blanket. It was sometime earlier this year, but I show how to do that, and so if you need a tutorial on that, check it out. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say this in the beginning, but I am going to be showing a quick tip today on picking up a drop stitch without a crochet hook, so that's coming up here very soon. I have been putting in a little bit of progress on my outstanding shawl. So this was something I had just started last week, and I have made a little bit more progress. This yarn smells so vinegary. I love it. So this is the Outstanding Shawl by Christy Archer, and I went to the cast on party and put my buttons on there, which I thought was really fun. So I really haven't done like anything on it because I only wanted to work on it during workshops, and the workshops are like a paid class that I'm doing with some people that are participating in the knit along, and we're doing lessons and stuff. So I really haven't done much. So I need to get to work on this week so we can do color work next week. But look, I got a really cute little bunny stitch marker from 3 by the Sea. Super cute. So this yarn is Madeline Tosh. Fair Isle is, Modern Fair Isle, rather, is the name of that color. And then later on, excuse me, when I do the color work, see, all float totes, I am going to be using pink and orange, and then pink for the border. And these colors are grapefruit, hold on, they're also Madeline Tosh, but grapefruit and geranium, respectively. So I'm excited to get that going. This is a nice, easy pattern so far, and just something that is nice to work on in the evenings. Doesn't take much thought. I'm sure it will once I get to that color work section. Okay, I have one more project, and it is a new one. So I have a few projects that I wanted to start this month, although I'm really just in a season of like purging right now. Like I want to get things done and cleared out, not just in knitting, but in work and in my life and all kinds of things. I'm like, it's spring, it's time to purge, it's time to get rid of stuff that is like not making me happy or not serving me, and be more present. That's way deeper than you wanted to get here in this knitting podcast, isn't it? But anyway, while I'm trying to say? While I'm trying to mostly finish projects this month, I do have a couple that I want to cast on, and this was one of them. And I'm so happy that I got it started because it's looking just like I want. Okay, so this is the Harlow hat by Andrea Mowry. It's just a simple brioche hat pattern. I've actually wanted to make it for a long time. I put it in my queue, I think it was in January I put it in my queue when I kind of went through my stash and started thinking of things that I wanted to make. So the story of this is that I was walking around sometime this winter, and I saw a girl wearing a hat that looked a lot like this. It was black and white, and from what I remember, the cream colored, or the white part was fuzzy and the black part was not, and it totally looked like brioche. I think it was a store-bought hat, but I'm always looking at what people are wearing to kind of get ideas for different things. And so I was like, oh, I want to make that. I'm going to design that. I can use mohair for the fuzzy part and a fingering weight yarn for the other part. And then I was like, you know what? Pretty sure I've seen a brioche hat or two. Not really like a new concept here. So instead of designing it, why don't I just use somebody else's design? And then so I put it in my queue in January, but then this quarter for the Love and Stitches membership, we are doing a brioche along. So this ended up being like the perfect circumstance to get started. I was so determined to make a hat like this. I actually already had the yarn wound, so all I had to do was grab it, and I did have to do a little bit of something different. So the pattern itself does not, the Harlow hat does not call for mohair. She actually uses like a more rustic fingering weight, and then there's also a worsted weight version of this hat pattern. If you're new to brioche, you might want to start with like the worsted weight just because it'll go a little quicker, but it's not like it makes it harder to do it in fingering weight. But because I wanted to do the fuzziness, I first tried holding like one strand just with this black yarn. Oh, and I'll show the yarns in a second. And then one strand with the black and the mohair together, but that just wasn't giving me the effect that I wanted. So now what I'm doing is I'm holding one strand of the fingering weight. That's my pearl, my brioche pearls. And then I split my mohair skein so I could hold it double. I do not like pulling from the inside and outside of a yarn, especially not mohair. So I split it into two, and I am holding this double as one strand. And so let me tell you about the yarns. So the mohair is from a homespun house, and this colorway is called Fresh Sheets. I've had this yarn in my stash for a while. I've had different plans for it, but this is actually perfect. And then my other yarn is Zen Garden Serenity Silk in the color Mystical. And Kent actually bought this yarn for me one time when he was traveling, and I've had this in stash for a long time and had no clue what to do with it. And I just can't even say how pleased I am with how this is coming out. So when I first started the hat, here's my first my first attempt. Oh no, the first attempt was when I tried to hold the fingering and mohair together and I didn't like how it looked. So then I switched to this. Now this is on the size needle that the pattern calls for, and I just thought it was coming out a little too big. I tried it on and it's just a little too big. I know it's hard to tell from this, but it was just gonna be too loose. So what I ended up doing is going down a needle size for the brim of this hat. But it's gonna look so cool because one side will have the black yarn showing and it's a reversible hat. And then the other side will look like this. And I did a tubular 2-color cast on, which I had never done before. I followed Andrea's tutorial and it is coming out so great. So I'm on a size 1 needle now. I've got a little bit more to go on the brim before I switch to a size 2 and things will look more like this. But since it'll be the top of the hat, I think it will be okay. Because it's not like this is massive. It's a little loose, but I think it will be better for the top part of the hat and the brim being on a smaller needle. So I'm also using a float tote for this, a 2 skein float tote, but I didn't put any of the cups in there. Well, now they're all crazy, but they just sit there all together in a row. Let me see. Turning it sideways makes them like not want to stay. They just sit here like this. My 3 yarns, because I've got the mohair held double and then the whatever this is called. Oh, and then the other thing, if you remember a couple weeks ago, or was it last week, I finished another mohair and fingering weight hat, but this time, oh my gosh, that time I made the everyday slouchy beanie and you held 1 strand of fingering weight and 1 strand of mohair together throughout the entire hat. I am liking this so much that I'm kind of interested in making my pink yarn with the pink mohair and the tweed into one of these hats. So I'm gonna see how this one comes out first, but I might do that instead of making a matching neck accessory and just have like a whole bunch of hats ready to go for next winter. So I'm mostly working on this. I spent a lot of time this weekend on this part and then ended up taking it out and restarting. And so now I'm in a good spot again, but I'm so pleased with this that it's kind of all I want to work on, except when I'm watching something really intense and then I'm switching over to my sweater. But I need to pick my next whip to like work on to the end and get something else off the needles, because that's what I really feel the need to do in this month. I have got a great quick tip for you today, and it is how to pick up a drop stitch when you don't have a crochet hook. It is not as hard as you think. You can do it with your knitting needles. And I got a request for this after showing a drop stitch that I fixed on my Instagram. So let's head over to the table and I'll show you how to do that now. So what can you do when you drop a stitch and you're out and about and you don't have a crochet hook? So I'm going to show you how I pick up stitches with just my knitting needle. I'm only going to show this in stockinette. So this is, I'm knitting in the round, the back is purl. This would work for stockinette flat as well. So let's just say all of a sudden you look down and you have something like this. Your stitches have dropped down several rows. So whereas when you're home, you can grab a crochet hook and pick up the ladders, when you're out and about, you cannot do this. So I like to use my right needle, kind of like a replacement for my crochet hook, to pick up this drop stitch. Step number 1, we need to slide our stitches down on the right needle so that we can move it around a little bit more. Step 2, we need to pick up this drop stitch. So this guy right there, that's my drop stitch. So I'm going to put him on the right hand needle. Just grab him however you can. We want him to be on the needle a certain way. So we actually want him to be open. So if he's on the needle like this, where the right leg of the stitch is facing to the front, that's how we correctly orient stitches, but we don't want it correctly oriented this time. We want it open to the right-hand side. So I'm going to flip him around. Again, he's just here on the right-hand needle. And now if I look at the stitch, the left leg of it is on the front side, okay? All right, so now we're going to pick up our ladders. So each of these strands coming across here is called like a ladder because these are stitches that rows rather, that this stitch has dropped down. Each strand going across is a row. So if I like to kind of take my finger and spread them out so that they stay in the correct order. You don't want them twisting up. If I look here, I can see that I have 5 rows to pick this stitch up. I'm going to start at the very bottom rung of the ladder and pick up 1 stitch at a time. Now, this is really easy to do if you think of it like a bind off. Let me show you what I mean. So I've got my stitch on here. It's oriented in the incorrect way that we normally would do it, but the right way for this. And I'm going to take my right needle. I'm kind of going to separate these live stitches. I don't need these. This is my stitch I'm correcting. Take my right needle, go underneath the first rung of the ladder. Then with my left hand needle, like a bind off, I'm going to take the stitch up, over, and off the rung that I just picked up. And what that did, I now just have 4 rungs left. I picked up that stitch 1 row. So now I just do that again. Put my right needle underneath the next rung of the ladder. Then I use my left needle to take the stitch up, over, off, and I've picked it up another row. Next rung of the ladder, go underneath it, bind it off in a sense. Another time. Last one. And I've picked up all my stitches. So here's where I check. I look at the front. Things are looking good. This stitch is looking a little more open, but that will block out. I also look and check the back. I'm looking for any like long strands across this stitch. If there's any long strands across the stitch, it usually just means I skipped a rung on the ladder and I need to let that stitch fall back down and pick it up correctly. Everything looks good. So the last step for me is to get this stitch back where it needs to be and oriented correctly. So if I look at my working yarn, it's on this stitch, which means that the stitch I just picked up hasn't been worked yet on this row. Therefore, it needs to go to the left-hand needle. Also, see how this part of the stitch, the left leg, is twisted to the front? I need to twist the stitch back the other way. I just wanted it open this way while I was picking up stitches. Now I want to fix it and put it on the right way. So I'm going to transfer it back to the left-hand needle. And then see how it's open? I'm going to flip it around. Turn it around. And now it all looks correct. Where's my working yarn? Right here. And I can continue on my merry way. We do not have a ton of news this week. I feel like this is the first time in forever that I'm like, is there really anything much to share? I did not do a new video this past Tuesday. I'm kind of in this spot of like getting kind of caught up on things and taking a little bit of a break, and then also trying to work more ahead so that I'm not, and this is just like me sharing kind of like behind the scenes here, but I kind of have been in a pattern for a few years where I just kind of record things like the week before and then post them the next week or in the few days before. And I'm really getting to the point where I'm like, well, you know what? If I was a little more prepared, I can maybe record things and edit and finish them a couple weeks ahead of time for some things. Some things need to be more current, like the podcast, for example. But then I could have things ready a couple weeks ahead. So I'm kind of in that spot right now where I'm getting things ready for next week's Tuesday video instead of one that's coming out like today's Monday and tomorrow. So anyway, a little more behind the scenes than you asked for, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to get things more planned out and have things ready more ahead of time, just so that I can really do an even better job, I think, on making videos. So no new video this week, but we do have the Spring Shawl Cowl 2022 that is ongoing. We just started last week, so it's not too late to join in. We are making the Outstanding Shawl by Christy Archer that I showed earlier. And the next event that's coming up, the next live event, is going to be at the end of April. It's on April, oh, I wrote 28th, but now that doesn't seem right. Hold on. April, no, that is right. April 28th at 6 p.m. we are doing a live interview with Christy Archer, who is the designer. So I'm really excited about that. Myself and Yarnia, the team at Yarnia in New Jersey, it's a yarn store there, we are partnered up for this make-along. I got my yarn at Yarnia, so I am really excited to continue this make-along. It's going all the way through May 26th, and we have the interview event, and we're going to have a closing event, but I'm also just checking in on Instagram every day and seeing the posts that you tag me in or the stories that you tag me in. Keep on doing that, because I love getting to share things. So I can't think of anything else, honestly, so that's it for our news segment. Let's talk about life. So this weekend I did something that I haven't done in a long time, which was take a weekend off of Instagram. Now you may be thinking, well, you don't really post that much or share that much on Instagram, and that is true. It wasn't really the posting and interacting on Instagram. It was that I have been scrolling Instagram, consuming Instagram like nonstop over the past couple weeks. And I could kind of feel myself like, you know, just, I would pick up my phone and I'd like automatically open the app. And I'm like, okay, I need a break from this. And I just, you know, combined that with like kind of an anxious feeling or overwhelmed feeling. And I could just tell that I really needed a break. And so I took a break off of Instagram this weekend, which was awesome. Of course, I was like thinking, oh, I wish I could share this, share my project that I'm working on, my brioche project or whatever. But you know what? I still got to share it when I came back on Instagram, so it wasn't a big deal. But what that meant for me is I actually got more knitting done than I normally do. So I didn't have a ton of knitting this week, but that's because I really didn't knit much during the week at all. I did almost all of that I just showed over the weekend. And again, I wasn't on Instagram, so it was great because I got to get more knitting done because I wasn't getting distracted by going to post something and then I was like, oh, I'll just scroll, you know, an hour later or whatever. So anyway, that was really, really nice. It made me feel definitely more present and in the moment. I did have a work day on Saturday, and we had a membership event on Saturday because the membership closed, and we had our welcome event for all of our members. And it was nice because, again, I wasn't on Instagram, so I felt really like in the moment all day long, and I spent a lot more time on the Discord app, which is where our membership has like chat groups and everything. So that was really, really fun. So just sharing all that, so in case you're like feeling the same way, you need to take a break from Instagram, maybe try it for 24 hours. It feels really good. And also just to kind of share that might be something I'm doing more often, just because it was just a nice refresher. And now I'm even happier to like get back on and share things and feeling very refreshed and everything like that. So that was really nice. So this weekend we didn't do a ton. I did work all day Saturday. That was planned. I had a membership event, and I had 4 different sock workshops for my sock course that just wrapped up this weekend. So that took up most of the day, and I also did my planning for the week, and yeah, that was mostly Saturday. But then on Sunday, we went to the movies. That's when I worked on my prismatic sweater. For the most part, I did all that during the movies on Sunday. We saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was really good. And we also went and watched some hockey and some of the Masters and just kind of hung out. So I brought my brioche hat and my sweater around with me all of Sunday and I knitted. We also went to lunch. We got some ramen and I knitted, and that was really great. I felt like myself again, because I feel like I used to do that all the time and I just haven't done that in a while. So that was really, really great. I finished the sixth Bridgerton book, When He Was Wicked. That was really one of my favorite ones. I liked that a lot. And now I'm anxiously awaiting the last 2 books for the Bridgerton series. So since I'm waiting on those, I have gone back to reading the Maggie Sefton Knitting Murder Mystery series. I'm on like the 17th of 18 books. I only have 2 more to go. And it's really nice to actually get back to reading those. I haven't read one in at least a month because I've been really into the Bridgerton books. And so I'm back with Kelly. Kelly is the main character, and all of her friends, and that was really fun. I was reading that this morning with my 30 minutes of knitting, and that, I don't know, I'm just enjoying that. I kind of want to like start reading that again. I finished Bridgerton on TV on Netflix too, and that was the 2nd season. I have to say, I was not, after the end of it, like I said last week, I was into it, but I don't know, I didn't really care for it so much. They changed a lot from the novels, and so it's not so much that they just changed it, but like I don't like the way that they changed some things. I like the side stories. I don't want to give anything away, but I don't know. I don't really care for some of like the main plot that they changed. I don't know why they did it, and I'm very curious to see what they do moving forward. So in the book series, each Bridgerton has their own book where they're the main character, and we saw that in the TV series because we saw Daphne be the center of the story for the 1st season, and then Anthony be the center of the series for this season. And then it just keeps going. Spoiler, every person gets their own book. But I think they're gonna do something different in the series. I think that's what they're setting us up for. So I do like that they introduced us to all the characters, but where was, what is her name? I just finished her book. Where was Francesca? Like the entire season 2. I think that they are gonna recast her, and that's why she wasn't there, because she was in the 1st season a little bit. So I think that they're going to be speeding things up. This is my guess. I have not read anything. I have no idea, but I think that they're gonna combine like Benedict and Colin. Ooh, sorry, as I spit. My guess is they're gonna combine Benedict and Colin next season, and then maybe do the same thing with Eloise and Francesca for the 4th season, because I think they've renewed for 2 more seasons. That's just my guess. And I think they're recasting Francesca because Francesca's book is the one I just finished, and it is steamy. And I think they're gonna need like a proper adult, because I don't know how young the Francesca was that they cast for the 1st season. Anyway, I could get so into Bridgerton. I've loved, loved, loved the books. Little disappointed in the 2nd season, but I'm excited to watch the 3rd one whenever it comes out. Hopefully they'll kind of explain why they had to change all these things. Because yeah, they changed a whole lot. And then, I started a new series called The Ultimatum. It is made by the same people as Love is Blind and hosted by Nick and Vanessa Lachey. And I watched 4 episodes yesterday, I think. So good, so good. Oh my gosh, I think I like it more than Love is Blind. So if you're totally into those dating shows, watch it. The Ultimatum, it's really, really good. I cannot wait to finish it. And then, like I mentioned before, we went to see Everything Everywhere All at Once, and it was a good movie. It's a long one, so bring the proper knitting project accordingly. It does get a little dark in that movie, so make sure it's something really, really simple. It's not quite as light as some other movies, because quite literally, it's dark in there. But that's it. I guess I did a lot of consuming television over the weekend, and I have been thoroughly enjoying it. So as far as weekly wins, I am just always looking at things to, I don't know, I'm just in this phase of like analyzing what I'm doing and how it's working and making things better. And so I'm really proud of myself this week for work-life balance. It is so hard no matter what you do, whether you work for somebody else, you work for yourself, you maintain a home, you're raising a family. It is so hard to find a balance between like doing things for fun and doing things that you need to do and doing things that you need to do for others. I don't know, it's the conundrum of life, I guess. But I'm just really proud of myself this week for really getting closer and closer to my goals of balance. I've been working so hard on my perfectionism, and I've shared that before. The perfectionism project, I'm actually taking the course, and I am almost 3 months into something called power planning, where I'm really planning out my work week, and it's leaving me with so much more time to rest. And I'm finding that I don't like that I'm having a hard time resting and like finding things to rest in, that I want to be doing stuff. And then I'm starting to figure out like, what does that mean? Like, why do I not want to just, I think that I just want to have all this time to knit, right? And then when I get it, I'm like anxious. I'm like, I should be doing something productive. And so I'm just like learning so much about myself and what that means. But anyway, I'm proud of myself this last week because I did have a full weekend off on Sunday, and I actually did it. I had my laptop turned off on Saturday night after I worked Saturday. It was a planned workday Saturday, so that was good too, because sometimes I would just start working and then it never ends. But I planned to work on Saturday, and I turned my computer off, and I kept it off all day Sunday, and I didn't get on Instagram, and I knitted, and we went out and we did things, and we went to the movies. And today is Monday, and I'm feeling like I actually had a weekend for once in a long time. And so that feels really, really nice. I'm proud of myself for that. And I know it sounds kind of silly to be like, how do you have a hard time taking a weekend? I don't know. I'm just learning to figure that out. And since it's hard for me, I'm proud of myself for doing that. And you should recognize things in yourself that are hard for you and be proud of yourself for doing it. Even if they're things that seem like totally normal to other people, it may be a challenge for you, and you should recognize that in yourself. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great week, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.